gonna make that we're live on Facebook. Yep, the output looks great. So it's good.
I just hope no mic will work, man. Because now I'm over. Take a while.
Well, I can hear you loud and clear, and I think we can really start. But you are very audible, and the
Okay.
audience is those on the comments. Would you please let us know if Kemo is very audible to everybody? He got a mic for this conversation, which I really appreciate. But let us know on the comment section if Kemo is completely audible, and we really appreciate it. But Claire, man, Kemo, can you speak?
Yes. 1 2 1 2.
Good. I think it will make sense for you to get closer to your phone or computer. Yes, that way you are much more
Okay.
audible. Yep. Yes, yes,
All right.
that's way better. Okay, you come with.
Yeah,
All
Kemo.
right, good. So we're going to start. Hello, everyone. Hello, wherever you're following us from. Malmo, thank you so much. Nanama, thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for joining us today on our Sunday episode of the Dialectic Space podcast. My name is Kemo has left the stream. He's joining back on. Good.
Okay.
Like,
More like call can. I'm gonna
yeah, you need to put your phone on D and D. Kemo, you want to
Yeah.
you're just gonna
No,
keep
like
calling. Yeah.
yeah. No.
So wherever you're following us from, my name is Ibrahim Asonko. I am the host of the Dialectic Space podcast, and like I said, my guest today is Mr. Kemo Bojang. Kemo is my very good friend that I've known for many years, and I've followed his life and his public life at that for quite a while now. And so, like I said, part of my goal is always to talk to people who inspire me with their journey and their interest for public progress. And so it is always a pleasure to have somebody here, especially somebody that I know. And I brag about that too. Whenever people say, "Oh, cool, you know all this nice," I said, "Well, you have to associate yourself with people who really inspire you with their ideas and their humility and also their work ethic." And Gambia is all of everything that we have, and so spokesperson don't reveal our strategies. But I'm so happy to have you, Kemo. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And welcome to Dialectic Space podcast.
It's a pleasure to be here, Ibrahim. And like you mentioned, uh, it's been a long time coming. We've been trying to get this going on for a while now, and I am glad that now it's doable. Yes, and it's a pleasure once more, and I'm saying a big thank you for everyone who was tuned in to listen to us converse and share ideas. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So we'll begin with the foundations. Obviously, we'll get to other matters later, but like I do with everybody, and the purpose for which I always do that is because I want people to understand who is behind the idea and how they get into certain ideas or convictions, or even, for example, political leanings that they have. So I do that through establishing a foundation by telling our audience who really Kemo is. And perhaps Kemo have talked about this several times about who he is, where he comes from. In fact, some people don't feel comfortable or confident to talk about themselves, but I still like to ask them. So, if you would begin by really telling us who is Kemo Bojang, what really influenced you growing up, so much so that it inspires you to get into politics. What are some of those values that really was instilled in you, such that until today you still live with those values because you are into public service? But who really is Kemo Bojang? If we would begin from there, please.
Yeah, so Kemo Bojang is a young Gambian who was born and brought up in Bakau. I am half Badibunka and I'm half Kombonka. My mom is from Badibu, Kerewan. So I grew up in a very politically charged environment. My grandfather is Sharif Mustafa Deba, actually, my grandmother's brother. And my father was also one of the founding members of the NCP. So he was a campaign manager of NCP and delivered NCP's first parliamentary seat in Bakau under the leadership of Bibi Kamara, also known as Bagari Bunding Kamara. So later on, because of the work he was doing politically, he lost his job at the British High Commission, where he was a council assistant. And then with time, he became less active in politics and then became the director of SOS Children's Village, the Gambia, for over 23 years. My mother is a veterinarian. She used to be a senior technologist at the Ministry of Agriculture. So I'd say I am very grateful and I am very privileged as a young person considering my upbringing and the normal young person in Gambia. But notwithstanding, I have had my fair challenges in life, especially coming from Bakau. And my family have been political a long time. But out of my father's children, I am the only one who is, a politician per se. So I am grateful for that because it's my passion. And I come from a very supportive family. And they've been very supportive through the journey and they've been very supportive with my wishes and aspirations. But I came into the limelight in 2016 per se, because we were the coalition young people. I would go on radio shows with Karafa Sonko at the time, who was the campaign manager of the coalition 2016, and we would go sensitize young people. We also wrote the letter to coalition leaders through the PY. We had a group called PYM, I believe, Progressive Youth Network. PYN, yeah, Progressive Youth Network. That became Gambia. It used to be a very vibrant group on WhatsApp. I've yeah, no I've not forgotten the name, but Gambia something.
Mhm.
And it was very instrumental within during the coalition time. From there, I also volunteered during the impasse with other young people in Karang and Sokon. We left Dakar because I was in exile in Dakar actually, because and we left Dakar and headed towards Sokon and Karang to support Gambian refugees. Personally, I believe that was the point of growth for me politically. And when we came back, I shifted from political activism to politics full time
Mhm.
because I saw to it that we have been complaining about a lot of things, especially when it comes to youth participation in politics, but we've never really taken it upon ourselves to become part of the players. As Chinua Achebe would say in his book, There Was a Country, that if you don't become part of the players, all you can do is to write footnotes about the story that is evolving.
Yeah.
And I took it upon myself and I looked at the positions that were available at the time. And I chose local government because one, I believe that it was the entry point to development at the grassroots. And I wanted to have a natural progression when it came to public service. And becoming a councillor was one of them, and I took the opportunity. But all in all, my political culture and socialization has been really influenced by where I come from, which is Bakau,
Mhm.
and also my experiences as a young person living in a dictatorial situation.
Mhm.
I saw what other young people around the continent were benefiting from. I saw what democracy could do and how it could enhance a people. I also saw that being able to flourish in a supportive environment could help a lot of people, and I wanted to be one of those people. And when I saw the opportunity to play a part in my country's politics, I took it head on.
Well, that's pretty impressive. So, United Democratic Party became a home for you in terms of your political training. in fact, what could say for your political tooling and retooling, because you were a political novice, a young person. In fact, I think when you came out, when you were being appointed as youth councillor at KMC, you perhaps the youngest public, I mean, servant that I think I know of, right? Because you're pretty young and you had this job, but also like I think you became pretty prominent in the Gambia at a very early age, which was pretty uncommon because for a long time politics has been very reserved for older people, right? When I say older people, we're talking about maybe people in their late 30s all the way going to like 50s and 70s. So you choose to, for some reason, you found home in United Democratic Party, and it became your party too. Talk to us about that experience, because United Democratic Party, as we know it, is built on certain values and principles, at least from its formative stages, right? And so, whatever you are today, I'm pretty sure that they played a huge part in that. So, what has that decision to join them? One, what influenced that? One, but two, what what that experience really has, like put in you, instilled in you to becoming a counselor, and how that serve you in your role at KMC and beyond that as well.
Absolutely. A person's political leaning is usually influenced because in political science, you're told that the biggest factor of your political socialization or your political culture is your family. And I was born and I found my family members being opposition members with the NCP. And with time, the NCP morphed into the UDP after the 1994 coup d'etat. So naturally, I grew up in an environment, or I grew up in a UDP household. So naturally, I sided with them, even though with time I got to understand what the party was all about. And at the time, I believe, and personally to me, I believe that the UDP has fulfilled its mission in the Gambia.
Mhm,
Because when the UDP was formed in 1996, what it was set out to do was to usher in a democratic system
mhm,
and to Alpha Alphon Kamaral Jawale Baija. And Alhamdulillah, the candidate that won in that election was a bona fide member of the UDP. The UDP led the coalition 2016. So personally, I believe that the UDP has succeeded in what it was set out to do. So if they become president in the long run, that is a bonus. But I believe that the mission has been fulfilled. But like you mentioned, the UDP has played a part in my development. And like you said, I became a councillor at the age of 21, before my 21st birthday. And at the time, it was an outstanding position. I even had an award in Lagos for it, being the youngest public servant in the ECOWAS zone. Uh, But again, um, like you mentioned, majority of the politicians we've had in our generation were older,
yes.
and this there are factors that led to this.
Mhm,
So I have a theory, and I say between 1996 to 2016, no new young politician was born in the Gambia. If you were born in a political circle, it was either you were with Yaya Jame or you were, but you couldn't be an opposition
yeah.
member. So this is why there's a generational gap between the older opposition leaders and the young opposition leaders. You could see that there's a whole generation that that was left in vacuum, but it was factors that led to that. So this is why I like to think that we cannot forget the sacrifices of the older generation. We have to acknowledge what they have done because they kept opposition politics alive in the Gambia. But like you said, the UDP for me has been a school. I've learned a lot from the party, from members of the party, and I'll be always grateful for that. But again, I believe I also had potential, and I also showed that I was capable for it,
Yes.
and this is why I was also chosen out of the lot. So I also thank people that molded me in that way, that the UDP was able to find me worthy of being a national executive member at a young age and also becoming a councillor at the time. Right.
And you know, and I think personally, deservedly so. I think you've established yourself in that party. Anybody who know you for sure would know that could not have been a better or ideal person to occupy that position than you, because of just how prominent you are and just how committed you are. And I remember vividly when you started getting into politics. It's unusual. Your story is very unusual and game, and I think that's what a lot of people really acknowledge and appreciate about you. Is because it's hard for me to even sit with you and say, hey, I'm older than Kemo. You know how that feels. Like everybody I talk to here is at least older than me. You get what I'm saying? And people talk to me about, oh, everybody know you. I said, you met Kemo Bojang? Like this kid is absolutely on track for to being one of the most prominent public servants. Either however you look at it, I think we have to give that to you because Gambia is hard for young people to be bold enough. The trend is changing to just take the decision to say I'm going to get into politics, right? And so, despite all of the odds, you went to KMC and you serve as a
Mhm.
councillor with Lord Mayor Talib Ahmed Bensouda. Talk to me about that defining moment of your life, of your professional life in the public at KMC. How has that experience been for you so far?
It's been an outstanding experience. And when I went to KMC, I went there to serve and I went there to contribute my quota in national development. And I've been able to do that. I believe that before I became a youth councillor, not a lot of people knew that there was even a position called the youth councillor in a lot of these area councils. During my time, we were able to come up with the 20 million youth fund that gave seed money and seed grants to young entrepreneurs. I came up with the COVID 1 million grant that we also gave to young entrepreneurs. I came up with the tuk tuk project where we imported the first batch cars and tuk tuks that came to Gambia and gave it to young people. I have been able to implement and build community centers. I've been able to allocate 30% of all the stalls we build in KMC. I was able to come up with an affirmative action policy to say that these stalls are going to go to young people. And we are currently working with even the zones to see how best do we develop sports within the KMC. You see all of these 8 parks that we have also been able to build for recreation. I and Talib actually went to Peterborough to negotiate this 3 million euro grant that we had from the European Union. And we're happy to say that almost 90% of all the projects we set out to do have been fulfilled. But it has been a fantastic experience. My relationship with him has evolved from just being co-workers or him being my mayor to now being a brotherhood. And I'm very fortunate and I'm very glad that politics brought us together. And today, where it's no longer just politics, but we are a family, and a day doesn't go by that we don't talk, even if it's just just checking up on each other. And for me, that is something that shows what can happen if two people with the same ideas and mentality come together to see that their country goes forward. And for me, it's all about legacy. It's all about making sure that you look back and you are like, when I was here I did this and that and that. And there was a day I visited Lai Conte. That was the first time that we met. And when he met me, he said, "You are Kemo?" I said, "Yes." He said, "I've heard a lot about you." And for me, that was a proud moment because, and then he was like, "Keep up the good work. We see what you're doing." Because you go to KMC and everybody's like, "Oh, when like Conte was here, he did this, he did that, he did this." I want to have the same name because I know that these positions are temporary. This is my last time as a counselor. I want to evolve. And I want, when I leave KMC, when I go back to pay my rates or when I go back to do any business, people are like, "Oh, this is Councillor Kemo Bojang. During his time here, he did this, he did that, he did that." And for me, Alhamdulillah, things are going towards that
Yeah.
direction. And I hope we will be able to keep that momentum going. For me, public service has always been about leaving a legacy. I want my children to 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 grow up in an environment where they can flourish and where they can also be proud that their father did this in this country, so that they can have a future worth living.
And I think you put, we also have to talk about this too, just how much I think there is a rising number of young people who, either directly or indirectly, that you have inspired, to also step their foot. I don't think people like to acknowledge that. People don't like to say that.
Pata says that a lot. Huh?
Yes.
Pata says that I
No, but
I
I said
opened
that
the door.
exactly. But I said you do actually
Yeah.
inspire a lot of people, right? Like the most in politics that I've ever done is student politics at the university. I just know I'm not cut out for the rest of it and how it goes. But there's a lot of young people who come out today, and including those that you see at the National Assembly, who really want to make a difference. That was unusual before you came into the picture, right? Although we've always had, like, President Jammeh came to power as a young person, right? And Adam Barrow is like, I mean, also came to power. He's slightly older than when Jammeh came to power, but it's still like that's always been our politics have mostly been dominated by older folks. But your involvement in politics at such early age and the influence that you've had, I think, also has earned you prominence not only in the Gambia but in the African continent. And so I think
Yeah,
that acknowledgement, at least in my opinion, the height of that was when you and I went to the Mandela Washington Fellowship in 2019 in the United States, sponsored by the U.S. State Department. And that speaks
yeah,
to, or it's a testimony to the work that you're doing back home, not only for Gambia but also for the African continent. Now, that's your youth involvement, but in fact, that's just one of the awards. There are several other awards that I think if we go into, we're not going to complete.
yeah. Just 3 weeks ago, I was in Accra again for another award. Yeah. So I mean, for me now, I think I like to say that when I was getting into politics, it was difficult, but my plan or my idea was that I was going to open up the door for other young people to see that, it is doable. That if Kemo Bojang can do it, I can do it. And I have been able to see that. For example, today, I can say that I convinced Ismaila Fadera to join politics. And today he is the president of the UDP student wing, which I was one of the co-founders. In fact, the UDP student wing was founded in my car. It was myself, ML Sao, Fulus Drame, Modu Lamin Diba, the other Diba,
Mhm.
Major Diba, and I think there was another guy, tough guy. He was also he was also the UTG. It was founded in my car because we came up with this idea. By then, Pamalik was leaving, Pamalik Nyasi, and we said, we had to have, because our idea at the time was, how do we make the UDP the ANC?
Mhm.
Similar to ANC, that now, we've got our people, our principals in government. We need to build a structure where, students also evolve and get into national politics. And today, Alhamdulillah, now you're seeing that even the Secretary General of the UDP student wing, for example, today I saw he was contesting for a position at the national executive. I left the student wing presidency and I became national secretary general. So these are all things that I'm proud of. And it's not just for a political party to say, but it's about harnessing the demographic dividend, opening the doors for other young people.
Yes.
And I will always be proud of the contributions I've made, be it through the UDP or be it just nationally, because I believe that what I did was not just for one party, but I did it because I had the conviction that what I was doing was right, and I did it for the Gambian people.
Now, a couple of weeks ago, there's been a lot of controversy in the country because Kemo Bojang, who a lot of people love and admire and identify with the United Democratic Party as one of the the stalemates of the party because of your work and your prominence and everything. And it seems to me a breakout happened between you and some members of the UDP that left the party and began or started a movement called Unite Movement. Um, Unite for Change movement. Excuse my pronunciation there. And so I just want to ask you this question: what do you say to a lot of people that we see this a lot these days? That Kemo is a betrayer. He left the party. In fact, the whole story about Sirif Diba, Kemo, the equivalence that you're drawing is insane. Kemo, Honorable Sirif Diba left on principle. You guys did not leave on. And so there is a wave of personal attack, I mean not personal attack, but attacks that I'm seeing levied at you for drawing such an equivalence, which for most people is unfair. And but how what do you respond or what do you say I feel like this could be a good opportunity to address that.
Yeah, yeah.
How
I
do you
mean, for
address that?
me, I don't really have a response for it
Yeah.
because when I was joining the UDP, I didn't really ask permission from anyone. So it would be my right if I wanted to leave the party. And I think my letter was very explanatory. I left the party because I didn't feel that so it's very complicated and it's a complex one, but my position was that I just, because before I left the party, rewind to 2022, eh, at the congress in Makati, I lost my position. I was asked to, to have a consensus of leaving my executive position. I knew why I was forced to do that. I never really came out to talk about it, and I just still want to keep it that way out of respect for the party. We went on further. Few weeks before I resigned, I was accused of a lot of things, and it got to a point in the party that if you didn't openly criticize Talib Bensouda, you were seen as a supporter of Talib Bensouda. I support Talib because I've been part of the success story of Talib. I contributed into that story, and I want to see that what the Gambian people are asking for becomes a success. So you were tied between two places. listen to what the Gambian people are saying, and be part of what the story we're building, or be loyal to a political party. So it was either you are loyal to the party or you are loyal to the country. I chose to be loyal to the country because I've listened to what the people are saying and I've ascribed to that message. Now, no disrespect to the party and no disrespect to people that are still in the party, but I do not blame them so much when they accuse us of being betrayers or when they insult us, because I'm seeing a lot of insults in the comments, which I'm used to now.
Yeah.
But um, I just want to say that I understand, and I do not hold you towards it. I know you're disappointed because you know my capabilities, you know what I've contributed to the party, and it's hard to see that leave. But my story is my story. You can't know my story more than I do. You cannot love me more than I do. I made the choice that I believe is the best for myself and my country. All I ask for them to do is to respect that. And I will always be grateful to the party, but I've made a choice and I think we need to move on now. So when it comes to the story of SM Diba and Co., what I said was very plain. I mean, like it or not, SM Diba left because he wanted to be president.
Yes. He wants power.
That, yes,
Yes.
that's a fact. And SM Diba, if I saw people correlating it with the Butut scandal of Kutubo Diba, that is not the case. Even after the Butut scandal, SM Diba became finance minister. That isn't why he left the government. He left the government because he felt that the government wasn't going through the right way he thought it should have been. Before he left, a year or so, he got into issues with Sir Aliu Jack
Yeah.
and Abi Njai. These are things that we know. I studied history in university at fingertip. So nobody can really teach me about history of the Gambia or political history of the Gambia. So if I say that if SM Diba left the PPP and formed this party, and majority of people that formed the UDP left with SM Diba and were members of the NCP, cannot, if that wasn't a betrayal, how is it that we leaving the UDP based on our own reasons is a betrayal? And
Yeah.
for me, I think the whole issue of betrayal is something we need to leave in the past, because these are personal choices that people have made, and all you need to do is respect it. Now,
Yeah.
these are subjective issues. Do you agree or not? That's up to you. But what is most important is that everybody who makes a decision is fine with their decision, and is sure that what they have done is the right thing for them. And just I like to say that we also need to stop playing God. You cannot tell anyone that they are going to fail or they're going to succeed. For example, you had that power, you would have made yourself succeed. So
Yes.
if you can't pray for us, that's fine. But
Yeah.
your words wouldn't become a reality. Whatever we are supposed to be, whatever we are supposed to have, has been written and has been acknowledged by God. Yeah, I just wanted to also say that.
And to that point, that specific point, the question of morality in politics, right? And the also the question of principle, I think comes to bear, right? In terms of, like, I feel like sometimes people do miss that, is all of these individuals at the end of the day, what they all want is power, including
Exactly.
honorable the late
SMD
Sirif
one.
Giba. Yes, like power is the underlining thing that defines all of their actions and decisions, right? They are politicians, and to be aware of, not to be dogmatic, it's one thing to hold on to principle, like PDOIS is. We can confidently say that the leadership of PDOIS in the persons of Honorable Sala and Sidajala are extremely principled in what they believe in, even though it doesn't seem it doesn't come across to me that their interest is to get the aggregate number of votes to win elections. I think they're more interested in much more conceptual. It's just the truth. They're interested in much more changing the mindset, free the minds of our people,
Yeah.
against all forms of subjugation and like capitalism and colonialism and whatever that is, right? And so my question always is that, like, I feel like we need to get to a place where, unless somebody absolutely is so disrespectful or is just putting certain parties in bad light, but people must be able to move freely to associate themselves with parties or institutions that they are comfortable to actually be a part of, without us having to berate them for their decisions too. But I think what is happening too, which you've talked to a little bit, is I think it's still early. All of the reactions that people are getting, which you said you understand, is because, obviously,
Sorry,
yeah.
I'm losing.
Can you hear me? Kemo, can
Yes,
you hear
yes,
me?
yes, yes. Now I can. Now I can.
Yes. So I said it's
Yes,
just
I
it's
can. Can
almost
you hear
like,
me?
nimfudu banda. the aftermath of that is always hard
Hold
for
on,
most
hold on,
people.
hold on.
Yes. So I
Wala
think
nang dapat blame
yes.
because nga men for kuno imo kili wala ka ko kombo mansa kili wala ka ko next mayor next standing thing but so bini and info ngala na amam fute ngani ko na kam falom ani ni ko ya but in sa fo ko nga do ko kilo men ke Gambia within the UDP. That's the same job I'm going to continue doing within the UMC. So in the end na kita tonya Gambia la nyato tale beto. The platform doesn't matter. So alinga nyo support do nga jibe me banko sambala nyato yabe.
And that blows my mind too. Like, how can Kemo be so great for so long when he was in your party? Kemo left. Kemo is a terrible human being. How can Talib and Ibrahim Adiba and all of these people? And so I struggle. So when you talk about principle, if Kemo left because Kemo is unprincipled, so Ibrahim Adiba is all of these people are unprincipled. That's why they left. Not to give any jab to anybody. I'm just saying, I think we can all live and let live and respect other people. At the end of the day, if you guys go and have a stumble block or you do not win, that's on you guys. And as
Exactly.
opposition too, how do you guys at the end of the day, how do we ensure that we don't among ourselves fight so much and lose sight of the most important purpose, which is to go against President Barrow? So how you guys really going to navigate that if UDP, there's a possibility that you guys can have some form of partnership with any opposition party in the Gambia. That's not only for other parties, but including the UDP too.
Oh yeah. Oh
But
yeah. Yeah.
how would
I've
you
said that
navigate
multiple
that?
times.
Yes, how would you navigate that if the way and manner in which they publicly portray some of you guys, what are the chances of even that happening?
Yeah, so what is also very important is that we have to dissect how politics plays out in the country. So there are people on social media who don't even have a direct link to Ala Hussein, who continue to insult us. Wolumang imam futa inyanda fusala dame. So but on Monday I was at Peter Gomez' show Coffee Time. And Uncle Lare was there before me. Kabra findila nganyo konto nganyo fenge because like kebala titi. Alaji S Dabo, for example, I talked to him a lot of times. Na kebala, I can't advise like a cool fanye. So many people like that. So one mele alongo wale benyato nkayato patio kono. Ntolni we have very cordial relationships.
Yeah.
So for me, those are the people that matter. So andung walu Gambian believe ko Gambian yarata wale fanamba world. Mel ben la Facebook, mel ganyolo ntolu attract wasifal. They are not the people we're focused on. The wale man can dollar focus the leadership law. Anda kamen for walum ko the Gambia 20 kwanamento ka fanya menka tula repeat la Alaji Dabo said it. Ko menketa 2016 is likely to happen in 2026.
Mm-hmm.
Walam ko for coalition or a bill. But coalition
Yeah.
of Fananka bill you need to have a common goal. And at the moment, we do have that. Well, I'm going we want to change the government. We want to
Yeah.
have a government that is people-centered and it is progressive. Two is we need to strategize and know who are our partners. So political party munna partner leti, civil society munna partner leti, and pressure groups. Gambia, unfortunately, for a very long time, civil society and political parties have always been on loggerheads. For some reason, malong why, but these are things we need to answer questions on. So you need to build a comprehensive plan. That is what we need to work on now. How do we navigate?
Mhm.
I believe when the time is right, we need to sit around a table and discuss it as a country to see how do we come up with a solution. But what is most important in a coalition is also trust. Because Gambia, unfortunately, the coalition on Kamel Bill Kabrin 1962, the coalition that was built Purka Sadauda ke first premierity of the country after PS Njai. Trust la break.
Yeah.
Yeah, coalition will be even commensurate in Bangkok. Even in 96, 96 man coalition sort of, but not coalition or GB. The recent coalition 2016.
Mhm.
Trust la break.
Yeah.
So Ntoloka Meng offer B Wolomko, we are offering a platform that can build a coalition that the Gambian people want. Because we are not a political party yet, we are not, Ntoloka pressure group, even though it is made up of politicians. But what is outstanding within our movement is you have politicians from every political party here. You have members from the GDC, you've got members of APRC, Noto Alliance, and so everybody is in the FENCO. Laughter men na wolum ko Gambia sambala nyato nyami. Volume, for example, when I was at Kunu, the brunch.
Yeah.
Lamin Chami yin ka kwenye ko yeah, but ikafale ko Allah leader wale coalition 2016 bring ka ente woman ta samaranja.
Yeah.
If we want to wallow in the past, may have called ila own personal opinion. We are not going to move. That has been our problem. For
Mhm.
how long Lemba try like a pass, repeat when we are not forging ahead? Until at the United Movement for Change, our position is called we want to forge ahead. We want to offer a Gambia that is dedicated to serving the people. We want to offer a platform. Me and politician or baby Fangela Kono, Nsinano under one umbrella and move forward. But I come for that strategy, Nyanta Wale put in place, and I believe Ning Awato Sita, where opposition party will be Nanyo Kane, Mbesilale, Ngajibe, what is the best thing to know?
Last question on that particular area of Ila political involvement. I can't believe we're shifting totally to Mandinka, but let's we can juxtapose it. Well, we can try to stick it to English too, so that our non-speaking Mandinkas can also follow what we're talking about. But you're welcome to also add some Mandinka into it. But I've always been worried, Kemo, about the youth involvement in politics in the Gambia and how we interact online. And that's not unique to only one party.
Mhm.
I think it comes from across the board, right? And I think one thing a lot of people really admire about you is, I mean, even though there are instances of where people say, "Oh, Kemo blocked me," I think also there are grounds. Sometimes there's certain lines that when you cross about other people, sometimes you just have to,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, definitely.
But also,
I block a lot of people.
oh, I know I've had complaints when people, oh, Kemo blocked me. But I said, I think sometimes there are certain lines. There is freedom of speech, there is freedom of expression, but that freedom of expression and speech should also be compared against somebody's right to also enjoy his or like sort of that enjoyment
Point.
also must not be trampled upon by somebody else in your exercise of your
Mhm.
freedom of right. So like that's what I always tell people. But I'm curious though to pick your brain on this. Why do people curse each other online? Somebody in the comment section literally just said, use an F word to basically say Taliban Sudan. And so those kind of things we're always going to see. But also, if you look deeper, these are people that identify themselves to associate with certain members or certain parties, for example, right? But the leadership of those parties would never come and insult anybody. They don't do that. But even if you
Yeah.
criticize those people to say, oh, this person is from this party, it has an issue. People
Mhm.
are like, no, you are whitewashing. You're basically, painting everybody to be this way when you're
Generalizing,
generalizing it.
or yes, or maybe you're just being
And I
generic.
still struggle.
It
I'm
is it
still
is
like,
not
it's
the
still,
case.
but these people are from your party. You are not. I
Mhm.
mean, holding these people to account in such a way that we see you set examples so people don't do this, right? So that people you can have more and more people join you, and that's not unique to one party. Even your party too. If people are doing that, what is your view of how do we
Yeah. So I just wanted to come
yes
to that.
yes how
Yeah.
do we really
So
sanitize our public engagement and conversation when it comes to politics?
no, I mean, and I think this is what we say most of the time. Ntolka, we sorry man, I'm just getting into my dick again. So we say that our movement is born out of an urgent necessity to cleanse the political landscape of this country. Since 2017, like you've said, if they're not calling a candidate a slave, they're calling someone else another name, or they're insulting someone else, or they're calling someone else tribalist, and it has become very toxic for people to even do politics. And unfortunately, it's not just the young generation, even the older generation. We've been here when Lysen said things, former member of parliament. We've been here when we've had people like Bakar Tarawale and co and co. So like you've mentioned, I think it's about taking responsibility and also making sure that you address issues. And we are currently working on a code of conduct. It is important for institutions or political parties to have code of conduct on how their members need to be, or need to behave, or need to conduct themselves. And if you break those code of conducts, even if it means expulsion, it is necessary that examples are made. And for us, what we have said is that we want to build a movement that will cleanse this system of politics that we've
Yeah.
had in the country, make it issue based and make it people driven. Now, how do we do that? It's about rewiring the mentality of the people. But people, uh, naturally, people are conformist, and they conform to what they see their
Yeah.
leaders do. So, if the leadership we have in the country is able to address issues like this, I believe that it will also translate, or it will trickle down to the people. A country is as messed up as its leaders, in my opinion. And we are not leaders are not different from the average Gambian. So, because we do not fall from the sky, we do not come from anywhere else. We come from the society and the people. So, unless we, the leaders, take responsibility, these things are not going to change. And we need to stop excusing, and we need to stop pushing the, pushing the ideals of
Yeah.
whataboutism. Just a few weeks ago, Fatou Toure was lynched, and instead of people addressing it, they were like, "Yeah, but what did you do when so and so
Yeah.
did this?" It's not
Yes.
the case. It's about addressing what is happening now. Even if what was, even if it happened in the past and it wasn't addressed, doesn't mean that we cannot address
Yeah.
it now. Or for example, when you complain about being insulted, they say, "Yeah, but so and so politician is the most insulted politician in the country." It doesn't mean it's
Does
right.
not.
We do not need to let one man become, the pit where everybody insults and then he becomes the vanguard of it. He needs to be
Yes.
protected himself like every other person. So unless we are able to address these issues and not generalize it or make it generic, we're going to have a tough time addressing it. But for us at the UMC, we're currently working on a code of conduct, and we're going to make sure that we'll take stiff, because we have said that we have come with a different
Mhm.
type of politics. And globally, for example, young people are very disenfranchised or do not have interest in their politics. For example, Brexit is an example. When during the vote of Brexit, a lot of young people in the United Kingdom
Mhm.
didn't vote. During the US elections, a lot of young people in America didn't vote. Even 2016 Gambia, a lot of young people campaigned, but they didn't vote. Today, we are looking at a very young population of millennials and Gen Zs. How do we encourage them to take an active part in politics, or how do we encourage them to take an active part in governance? Should be, our focus. And by making this, we need by this being our focus, what we need to do is that we need to make sure that the environment in which they play this politics or be part of this politics is conducive for them to flourish. I was fortunate that I got into politics early, but it's been difficult.
Mhm.
But perseverance kept me going. But not everybody can persevere that way. I need to make sure that I create, you know, preserve the environment and make it
Yeah.
possible for someone else to not go through what I've went through to be able to become successful in politics. So for us, this is the perspective we are looking at it from.
Kemo, how do we also make sure that the UMC is not an extension of other parties in the Gambia, such that when Taliban Suda, for example, is not there, there's going to be continuity of the party and the values of the party and the principles of the party and goals that the party is set out to continue? Because that's another thing that I think a lot of people are curious about: is UMC going to be another example of another, for example, PDIS, where it's going to be two visible individuals, another UDP, where it's going to be just Alhaji Hussein Udabo, or GMC is going to be only another Mama Kande, or APP Sobeya, another Esa Mbaifal, right? And that's always, I think, for me, little parties are built around individuals. One and two, there is also, like, I think a lot of people are also struggling in terms of what is your your conceptual leaning in terms of what you want to address as a party. I think, like I talked about this with Fali a few days ago, I think it's still young for. I think you guys need grace to identify and also
Exactly.
establish yourself and what really defines you as a party. We cannot expect a party that is, I mean, a movement that has been established within a month to say, oh, this is what they're about, this is their philosophy or their leaning, right? So that's gonna take time. But in respect to what guardrails are going to be created or established to ensure that the party is not built around just Talib Ahmed Bensouda, such that it's going to look like it's Talib's bad right to become the flag bearer of UMC at all times.
Mhm.
I think that's a reasonable question to ask.
Yeah. So UMC is an idea that has taken form, but it is not. It doesn't belong to Talib Ahmed Bensouda. In fact, this is why when we talk about UMC, we do not sell Talib, we sell the movement. If you've noticed, most of the conversations I've had since I started media, appearances, I talk about the movement and not Talib. And I do this intentionally, and we do this intentionally because we do not want it to evolve around a single individual. We are trying to build an institution that is for every Gambian and for every Gambian to see themselves within it. And if you notice, I have been the most phased out face within the movement that even Talib himself, even though he is the founder of the movement. That is also intentional to show that this is not Talib's movement, but it's a Gambian people's movement. And everybody has taken ownership, and that is something that we are very proud of. And for us, it's we believe in the strength of togetherness. We believe that this is why our core value is one Gambia and one people. We believe that there's unity in our diversity and there's strength in our diversity as a people. That we come from different ethnicities is supposed to be a strength that we need to harness. That every person has something unique to them and they have their strengths. And how do they bring this to become a national, you know, a national impact or a national factor when it comes to progress? So I can definitely assure you that with or without Talib Ahmed Bensouda, this movement lives on. This movement will become a household name in this country, and every Gambian will see themselves as part of it. Going forward, your second question was, okay, what
Yeah.
is our ideology?
Yes.
So we are more of going to be sort of, if we evolve into a political party, more of a center leftist position, where we are very focused on welfare.
Mhm.
We're focused on making sure that we provide services and deliver goods to the Gambian people. For example, you look at education, you look at housing, you look at food self-sufficiency, you look at sovereign and food security, you look at basic healthcare. These are things that will be a core position within our program that we're currently developing. And like you've said, we're just 3 weeks old, but we will definitely come up with a robust plan and a robust project that the Gambian people will see. We like to see it as a project. We do not even like to see it as a political party. And a project will be accomplished, and we will monitor and evaluate its progress. And I just want to piggyback on what I've just said. When
Yeah.
I hear people say that this is something they've been planning even when they were in the UDP, I laugh, because if this is something that we were planning, we would have had all of these things in place,
Yeah.
but we didn't plan it. But what happened to us was, or the decision we have taken is a decision that was born out of a necessity of a situation that we have found ourselves in.
Mhm.
We became victims of our own reality, and it was either we took it head on or we would fade in the annals of Gambian history forever. And we took it head on, and we believe that we have made the right choice, and we will keep pushing to see where this choice takes us.
Now, this project has come with it, a lot of, good reception from a variety of our society, from people from all various spectrums, especially a lot of youth that I talk to. The idea of some semblance of modernization with perhaps youthful look of our political life, I think brings some level of hope for our youths. But there is also a level of criticisms and also questions, and also to some extent too, um, attacks in respect to the ingenuity of the purpose of this project. Right. For example, I
Mhm.
think Yankuba Dabo has went on again and said this is not a serious movement, and I think in many ways his argument has always been, Brikama, even before Talib even left, Brikama is like the number of people. Brikama is like a large base, and so if these people only want to use KMC where Talib is, for him to be representative, because I always, Talib is not tested. He's not tested nationally. The only poll we saw so far was the Gambia Participate survey that came out to say the potential is here, right, compared to other candidates who are there. But the argument I'm trying to present to you is that where is it? Where is your base going to be? I mean, I know you talked about this a few days ago to say that, oh, we are going to take from Barrow. I don't. For me personally, I don't think that's the case. I think much more fundamentally, which you probably would not like to discuss on, is you're going to take from UDP if and when the elections come and you don't go in alliance with UDP. That's just what's gonna happen. When Barrow came, Barrow took from, when he left, he took from UDP, he took from APRC, he took from other places, because that is his home. When you people are leaving, you already took a lot with you, right? People are going to say it's not a lot, but to have you leave, even you with a kundingo, to have you leave for me is not small. To have Ibrahim Diba leave for me, I think is even more significant, right? There is just not no other way to put that. But where is your potential for you guys besides UDP to also say, okay, this is where we're going to get, right? And also another important conversation people don't like to talk about when it comes to our voting behaviors in the Gambia. Look, our elections is not an ethnic census or it's not a tribal census, but
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
also people identify themselves with parties because of the tribes, right?
yeah.
And so that's always going to be an issue. Geographically, people vote based on what majority of tribes live in certain areas. That's not always the case, I must admit, but it does happen. So how do you guys intend to break into this very complex and
Well,
nuanced
Ibrahim,
political environment?
thank you very much for that question. And I just wanted to clarify something. And when I said that, I said it as an example. Unfortunately, I had to even call the journalist who reported, and I told him this wasn't what I said in the interview. I thought you were going to play the audio, but he had to transcribe it. And unfortunately, I believe a lot of what I said was lost in translation. So he had asked me a question about how we were getting attacked by people from our former party. I said in Mandinka, I said Tumando Asake from the Sabuni Mati.
Hmm.
But it wasn't that I said that was what was going to happen. But I mean, I get it, and people want clickbaits and everything. But again, like you said, Yankuba has made a statement. We are currently at national level, and I want to focus on national issues and not regional issues because I believe that the movement is a national movement, and this is
Kemo, are you with us? It seems we're experiencing. Well, Kemo is coming back. Let me add him back. Kemo, are you with us? Hey, Gambian connection. Yes, I have you back. Yes, go ahead. Yes, sorry about
Yes,
that.
so what I was saying is that Yankuba spoke his mind, and I believe politics is very subjective, but I
Yeah.
think it's just a limited understanding of what's at stake, and I think I would have expected more from him and a better understanding of the dynamics of politics in his case.
Hmm. Yeah, the Gambian network is tripping.
Hear me now.
Yes, you're on.
Yes, so what I'm saying is that I think it's just limited understanding of what the dynamics are currently and what the reports we've had since 2021. So, first of all, Urban Gambia is not anybody's base. Urban
Yeah.
Gambia is a swing base for any politician that they prefer. It will be interesting to realize that even in Bakau, for example, where we say UDP la heartbeat in KMC,
Hmm.
we won against Barrow with only 700 votes difference. It wasn't a big margin, right? We lost KMC with almost 50% of the votes. When Alai Hussein had 48%, 48,000, Barrow had 80,000 plus. We lost West Coast region. So for Yankuba to say that we don't have a base, I do agree. No regional district or no regional geography is our base. Our base is the Gambia. And this is why we're selling a Gambian project. We are not people who believe that it's going to be based on a certain a constituents or so. We believe that Gambians are going to take ownership of this project. And he will be surprised come 2026 when he realizes that majority of the Gambians, regardless of ethnic background, regardless of social background, regardless of political lining, have seen the movement as an alternative. And this is what a lot of people need to understand. This is what we are set out to do. We are set out to bring forth a new way of politicking. We are set out to bring forth a new way of political movements or political parties functioning. We want it to be centered on a national basis. And if he believes that what he has said is a fact, that is fine and well with me. I believe what I've said is a fact because this is the beauty of politics. It's a subjective issue until December 5th when the results will be read. So everybody would believe that what they've said is right. But also, data doesn't lie. I am someone who believes in data, and I believe data has said exactly what we are saying here. That Talib, in as much as he has never run, for a national election, the data provided has shown that he has an appealing all over the country,
Yeah.
and it has also shown the demography that he's much more appealing to, which are the young people and the women. And the young people make up almost 70% of the population. So for you to say that we don't have a base, I think that is insulting, but I do respect his position. And I think leaders like him should be people that should unite us, especially all of us being young, young people. But I saw, a statement today where he said the UMC is misleading people. I'm not sure how we're misleading, but maybe that's just based on his understanding, and we respect it.
Would you hope? I guess you wouldn't do that, but I was just wondering whether you would really look at him and how he has conducted himself so far since this entire Talib, Yankuba, and UDP stuff started. Would you look at him and say that you expected a lot more of him in terms of how he conduct himself, his public interviews,
Absolutely,
than the
absolutely.
way he is coming out, and on the way he continues to come out too in terms of his interactions since you guys have left the party. Because I don't see you come out to talk that way about him. I don't see Talib come out to talk that way about him. I respect Youngs. I think he's a smart dude. I think I'm from Brikama. I think he's doing such a great job in Brikama as well. All of us can say that. But like all of you are young people in politics in the Gambia, like you are perfectly articulated. But the standards that have been set, I think it's would it be fair for you to say that like he has contributed in some way, shape, or form in this separation process or divorce?
I I, I believe so. Because Yankuba was the first person to come out and say that if Talib was elected or elected the candidate, he would leave the party. So if there was anything, he already had the intentions of leaving the party. So we knew that if things didn't work out, we had no future in the party, and I believe that is why we had to step away. I like to give it an analogy of an eagle's nest. When an eagle hatches its eggs and then the nest becomes crowded, sometimes some of the eaglets need to fly away and form their own nest. It it doesn't mean there was any bad blood between us or anything. Yes, Yankuba has said things I didn't expect him to say. And like you have said, I would never come publicly and criticize him because I do believe that there are better ways or better on how to handle, differences and issues. And we still hold on to that, and we respect him because not even if it's not him, but the position he holds. And we thought he should have also done the same. But notwithstanding, people are different. People handle things differently, and we do not hold any grudges against him. But like you said, a lot could have been desired, and I believe going forward we will learn from this, and then we'll see how best to push the conversation. But again, this is why the UMC is formed to change the way of politics, to change the way Gambians see politicians. And one of the reasons why we have come up with this platform is that Gambians have lost faith in the political class because of certain issues like that. But we hope going forward we will be able to eradicate that, and we will bring a new way of politicking, and hopefully we can inspire the younger generation not to see that politicians fight a lot of times, but politicians collaborate to bring the change that they want to see.
Well, we're getting to the hour mark. I have like max three more questions, but I just quickly want to say if you have questions for Kemo, Nadia, some of the comments that I'm seeing, if you have questions for him, leave them on the chat. The last 5 minutes of the conversation I always display to ask our guests some of the questions you guys have. I mean, good questions, not just any question. But Kemo, part of my last few questions is I really want to ask you, right? The faces of the conversation for this new project, UMC, you are the spokesperson. Congratulations, by the way. And I think you're doing a phenomenal job to go around the media houses to have conversations, which is great. Um, we also know Talib is the heart and soul of it. He is the face of it. He is the founder, right? And I just hope he could come out a little bit more. And I think people want to see him. I think there's a momentum that you guys have when you left. I feel as though that momentum is waning, but that's okay too. I think there's a lot of time between now and next year. But I was just curious in terms of who are the other people that are involved in this process besides just you and Talib and Yaya Menteng and Ibrahim Adiba and few other people, because there are some allegations
Yeah.
out that on the grapevine that there are people behind that are pumping money into you guys already. That seems to be something that people are flying with, right? And I want
Yeah.
to give an opportunity to address that.
Yeah, so first of all, I just wanted to clarify. Yes, I'm the spokesperson. Talib is the founder, but the Gambian people are the heart and mind of this movement. And the movement belongs to every Gambian. And going forward, like you've said, Talib would come out more and he'll speak more to the people. But he just came back from an official engagement um, in Cape Town with the mayor's migration council. So he has been preoccupied, but inshallah you would see him more in the media now that he's back home. But like you said, this is a movement for everyone, and there's a movement of the Gambian people. We have people all over the country who are putting heart and mind into it. So, like for example, even when we were in our former party, when it came to youth politics, you saw more of me, but there are thousands and thousands of other young people within the party who were doing extraordinary things. So it's the same. People have different platforms. People have different, reaches and a wider network. But it doesn't mean that they are the faces of the movement. The movement is a movement of the Gambian people, and Gambians have taken ownership. And like you mentioned, we are open to everyone. In fact, we currently have a fundraising going on. We are seeking and we are accepting donations and support from every Gambian as far as your financing or your support is legitimate.
Hmm.
We are not going to stop anyone. If anybody feels that they can use propaganda against us, they are making a grave mistake.
Hmm.
We are open to any support that anybody has to give us. But I'd like to clarify that even if we're getting support from people who are Gambian and their backers, what's wrong with it? Even though that is not the case. But what is wrong with Gambians planning to put their financing or their money into a movement or into something that they believe in? Alaji Conte was financing the UDP. That has never been a problem with anybody. I don't think if another Gambian well-wisher wants to put their money into a movement, it should be an issue. So the propaganda, we do understand it comes with the territory, but it has to be based on something that is, at least substantial.
Yeah.
It cannot be based on something that is very legal. It cannot be based on something that, we in fact support and acknowledge. But we are also very much aware of the electoral laws and what the electoral act says,
Yeah.
and we are law-abiding citizens, and we'll make sure that we follow the rest of the law.
Second to last question, I promise. We're getting there. Talib hasn't resigned officially, or at least explicitly, from the United Democratic Party. Another question people want to know, right? Whether that is very strategic for Talib to do, bearing in mind that these are political players, we are going to need each other at some point, or that he just wants people to continue to make speculations about the fact that he hasn't left. In fact, people in the United Democratic Party are saying, well, he hasn't even resigned. Talib only said they formed a UMC project, which is going to morph into a political party, right? But what is the purpose for doing that, or why hasn't he publicly come out to say that I've officially resigned? Not only my role as national organizing secretary, but I've resigned from the United Democratic Party, which it seems like from all indications that's what is happening.
So I just want to clarify. Talib has resigned from the United Democratic Party. He made a verbal declaration that he has left the UDP when he was declaring the movement in Wolof, and said that he thanked the party leader for the opportunity, but he's forming his movement. When he was joining, when he was joining the party, I do not believe he had made any official or he didn't put it in writing to
Mhm.
say that he is joining the party. I believe he joined the party as a member and became a member. So he has resigned and left the party. He also has resigned and left his position as organizing secretary. So it shouldn't be an issue of speculation. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, Kemo, we can hear you loud and clear. Kemo, we can hear you. Can you hear me? Back, Kemo. Kemo.
Hello, can you hear me, Ibrahim?
Yes, 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 yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Kemo, can you leave and come back on? Okay, we're struggling.
Ibrahim, can you hear me?
Yes, Kemo, I do hear you. Can you leave and come back on? Everybody hears you, Kemo. Let me call him real quick.
Ibrahim, can you hear me?
This is funny. Gambian network is strange. Okay, I think he's gonna leave and come back on. Okay, good. He's gonna come back on. We apologize for that. Kemo will be back on, and we'll get right on with it. Kemo, can you hear me?
Yeah, okay, more than call. I think even though it's on Do Not Disturb, I can call it twice, so I don't.
Yeah, they're gonna keep calling you, man. They're not gonna stop. But
Yeah.
but yes. So he like I was saying, Talib did mention during his speech that he has left United Democratic Party, but he hasn't tendered a formal resignation. And I just
Yeah, but then that's what I'm saying. Like when he was joining the party, it wasn't like an employment. We write letters because of
Yeah.
courtesy, right? And so that it is in the records. But it is not nowhere said, "Ko, when you are resigning, you need to put it in black and white." So he resigned as from his position as the organizing secretary that he put in black and white because that is a position that he resigned from. But even a verbal resignation is sufficient, and I think he has done that. So Melba, people that think he is still a member of the UDP, I think they're ill-informed. But I can authoritatively say here that Talib has officially left the UDP since the day that he made the official announcement of launching this movement.
Well, final question before we give you an opportunity to conclude is um, there's a two-sided question. One is Kemo is an ambitious young Gambian. You are the most followed young Gambian politician on Gambian social media, and you very engaging, and you share whatever you're doing, and people are able to keep up with what you're doing in terms of public service, right? And people look at you also, especially in the comment section right now. They're like, yeah, there is future for this young dude in Gambian politics. Is Kemo eyeing beyond just UMC or UMC's I mean spokesperson? Is there more that you are envisioning for yourself, or would it be fair if I tell you, or if I ask you that are you really interested in being the president of the Gambia someday?
I think that's a long shot. I like to let nature take its course. I like to let grow because I am not in control of anything in life. I have always had that in the back of my mind that, and I believe that everything that happens in life happens because of a reason. And one decision you take leads to another one that will lead to another one. Because I believe life is a snowball. But I do not set timelines or goals for myself. I like to walk towards nature and what nature says. So let's see what the future holds. Let's see how things will turn out with UMC, with the Gambia, or with politics in general. But all withstanding, I would like to serve this country in any capacity that I am qualified for, and I will take it with honor, be it in any position that I find myself in.
Well, this has been absolutely wonderful. A lot of people in the comment section commenting, and I really want to give Game one opportunity to respond to some of the comments, but it's just so much, right? And I don't even know if we could have the chance to get to some of them. But I'll just quickly see if there is anything that really I could bring out to for Kemo to react on. But we really appreciate all of you being here. We appreciate all of you being in the conversation and really interacting with us and having a dialogue, which I think is extremely important because we get nothing out of insulting each other and going after each other and just doing politics that way. We can only Kemo knows. Kemo and I are friends, but we disagree a lot more than we agree on anything. He knows that over the years, we disagree on social media, we disagree when we talk on the phone, but I still have a great amount of respect and admiration for him, and I think that should be the yardstick for our conversations. So, well, we appreciate all of the chats. I'm trying to find some of them to raise to Kemo, but I think generally people appreciate your conversation. People appreciate your work. I was just gonna ask you in terms of, in a concluding statement, what gives you hope, knowing fully well how impossible it is to get anything done in that country, with all the systematic failures that are available for a very long time in that country. What gives you hope that your movement and your involvement and your really commitment and passion to see a difference in the Gambia, you continue to do it. You don't, in fact, be consumed or subsumed by the system, as we've seen a lot of good men and women in the Gambia who, once they get into politics, they just lose themselves and every dignity that they have. What gives you hope and purpose that you can keep it together, you can continue to do this work, and you can continue to see a better Gambia every day that we wake up to go to work and come back home and every day to do this over and over for the rest of your life?
I think it's one of it is ambition, and I think it's the inspiration of being Gambian. So, Ibrahim, I come from Bakau, and I come from a very extended family on both my maternal and paternal sides. Like I mentioned, my mom is also Badibunka, and I've seen what growing up in a good and or in a conducive environment can do for an individual. Like I mentioned, I'm very privileged that my parents had really focused on helping me become who I am today. and generally my community has also played a part in it. But you look at the Gambia and you see that we do not have any mineral resources, we do not have any riches. The only thing we have is our people, and the our human resource is the only resource we have. You look at other countries and you see how far they've gone, and you look at the state of the country that we call home. I think that alone should be a drive to push you to do more. I had the opportunity to travel. I have seven siblings, right? I'm the only one who lives in Gambia. I could have taken the opportunity to also leave. I've had opportunities. My wife lives abroad. I've been abroad a lot
Uh-huh.
of times, but I've always had the conviction that if everybody leaves, who's going to fix the mess that we have found
Yeah.
ourselves in? And this is why I've taken it upon myself to stay home and to see how best I can be able to contribute my quota in national development. I like to use Bakau and Kudang as an example. And I like to say Kudang is one of the towns with the most educated people in the country. And I think this is because of the environment again. When you look at young people from Kudang, they're second generation, third generation university graduates. Why? Because their elders were educated early, and then they were able to have the exposure needed to be able to, change their
Mhm.
trajectory. I come from a town where tourism is the hub, and for a lot of people, they've realized that maybe, leaving Gambia was the only choice they had because of lack of opportunities. I want to be an example. I want to be a change. And I want to show young people that you can stay back home, you can contribute in national development, and also you can progress. But I'm not also oblivious of the fact that my story might be a very
Mhm.
unique one. But what I want to do is to create that environment where it cannot just be Kemo Bojang, but it can be a story for every young person who lives here, who will be able to have a dignified livelihood and be able to change their own trajectory. The Gambia is a country with a lot of potential. Unfortunately, we've been failed by leadership. I am hoping that one day our children will say that our parents did their best, so we could also live the life that we deserve. This is what keeps me going, and this is why I want to keep serving the people.
Well, thank you so much, Honorable Kemo Bojang. I really appreciate your time. I really enjoyed talking to you. Like I said, you are one of the very few people that really inspire me from that country, considering your age and your passion, your commitment, your dedication, and also perseverance too. Because I know it could be really enduring being involved in government politics. I can't do it. I'm just here. I do only this little podcast.
Yeah, so Abubakar, I see one of the questions because I think he's been repeating it. I think his question is, will we join a coalition where I don't if can you go through the comments and read his just the question.
Abubakar, bro, it's just
Dabo.
so.
Abubakar Drame,
Oh,
sorry.
Abubakar, I invited him to come to the podcast because he wanted to. He raised some things on my inbox. I said, okay, I'll invite you on the podcast to debate me. Well, not debate, to have a conversation. But he said he's not a public person.
Mhm.
I'm looking for it real quick. Abubakar, he's very active online. I'm looking for it. If you have your camera, you can read it.
I'm 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 trying to find it also. I can't see it. But I think okay, he said since the very reason Talib left was because he wasn't selected flag bearer. So would he allowed to be led by UDP considering UDP's numerical strength? If yes. I think first of all I just want to clarify Talib didn't leave because he wasn't selected flag bearer. Talib was pushed out. And I think it's important that we clarify these things. Like I mentioned, he Abubakar is a huge supporter of Yankuba, and I think he has heard the statement and the
Yeah.
people close to Yankuba. He has seen people he comrades and how they have attacked me when I resigned from the UDP. Does he think that was a conducive environment anybody could have flourished and grown in? I doubt it. If we are being honest. Now, when it comes to the issue of coalition, and I'm a big, like I said, trust is very important. It is
Hmm.
not our decision or our discretion to decide how the coalition will turn out. I think what is most important is that all parties would sit on a table and decide the sequence and manner in which the coalition will be set up when the conversation starts. At this moment, nobody can say anything based on the fact that we haven't had that conversation yet. But like I mentioned, I'd also like to throw a counter argument to him. If indeed we sit at a table and then Talib is declared the leader of the coalition, will the UDP be willing to follow through?
Barrow's network. Barrow, I think Barrow is sabotaging our conversation, Kemo. Yeah. The
And
network.
join him if indeed.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe Kemo will come back.
Can you hear me?
Yes, the network. I know. President Barrow is probably sabotaging our conversation, bro.
I know. I'm just throwing a counter argument to him. So first of all, like I said, Talib didn't leave because he didn't get the flag bearership.
Mhm.
Talib left because he was pushed out, and I think the insults, and I think it's very unfortunate that this is a guy who lost his father in the same week he was facing a commission that was set up to fight against him, and he had the people he thought who were going to support him no matter what turn against him. And we all saw that, play out in front of us. This is not anybody making up anything, but this is the reality we saw. And if you would force anybody to stay in such a situation, I think you are someone who is encouraging abuse. But notwithstanding, I would also like to ask, like I said, until we get to that conversation and how the coalition, if there will be a coalition, will be organized, I cannot say if we will or not. But I do know we're open to working with every opposition party, everybody who is willing to see the Gambia change. But I'd also like to ask Abu Bakr, like I was saying, will the UDP also be willing, if indeed it is the country's interest that is at stake, will the UDP also be willing to join the movement or the coalition if led by Talib Ahmed Bensouda? I think that should be able to answer the question.
One question that I feel like I wanted to ask you,
No problem.
but I think it's even fading that I wanted to talk to you about because I think Abubakar Kemo has asked you a question. So if you want to answer the question, you can always reach out to me and we'll talk about it. And again, people that are on the comment section that are following, thank you so much. We see all of you. Dr. Sonjai on following us from YouTube also. We appreciate it. If you're all here, I don't want you to only stay here. Please also go to our YouTube channel and subscribe to our YouTube channel to support what we're doing. That's the best way to support, not just Facebook. Eventually, we are going to fade out of Facebook, but you can go to our YouTube account and also support what we're doing. I think it's also important. But Kemo, the question is that I know for a long time, a lot of people have argued that KMC have become a target of political persecution by this government of the Gambia. I think since Talib has
Mhm.
started, he's been subjected to a lot. The issue with Senab Martin, this current commission, in fact, some argue that it's been created to go after Talib Ahmed Bensouda. And you guys went there. I think there's a lot of things that are still muddy, that are not clear. One can say that, but you did went there and make your case against the findings of the commission. We are going to wait for the outcome of the commission report, but I do think that it's clear. I mean, at least from somebody who studied some level of law, I think what's going to happen perhaps is this government is going to somewhat politicize that report in a way to tempt some of you that are part of KMCO, including the leader of that institution,
We
which
do
is
understand that. Yeah.
you do
we
understand
we
that reality.
we do understand, and then we
Yes.
do accept that, but like I said, even Alhaji Husseinu was also indicted by a commission in this country, and it didn't stop him from contesting. In fact, it was a tax commission. So we believe he has been our teacher. He has taught us well. So if he was able to maneuver through it and then continue to contest for elections, I do believe that nothing will stop Talib Ahmed Bensouda from contesting for elections if the Gambian people really want him to become their candidate.
Dr. Soljai, last question, has a question for you. He says UMC is running a very disciplined, message oriented campaign so far. Uh, a few questions. You have probably said this already since I joined the conversation late, but what are your top policy priorities and how do you intend to achieve them? Dr. Sonjai is a frequent guest that comes here on the Direct Space podcast, and he really has a question for you in respect to what are top priority policy issues that you intend to achieve at UMC.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us more so is about one of it is about how do we create a national identity? That is one of it. But also is that we need to look at good governance reforms or governance reforms as a whole. One is the constitution. We want to look into having the 2020 draft back, in, into parliament to see how best do we, work on it. Two is the civil reform that we have been talking about for a very long time, and we haven't seen any progress. I think these are things that we definitely have to look into. For example, in recent times, we have seen what the security sector is doing, and it's unfortunate that people are still dying in custody. Security sector reform is also another priority area that we have. We are also advocating for a system that rewards competence, and also that that also looks at merit over loyalty. We're also looking at economic empowerment, especially for minority groups like young people, women, and all, because we do believe that with a country that has a population of over 70% being young people, there needs to be a lot of economic empowerment, that, that that should be focused on young people, but also marginalized groups like women. For example, when you talk about issues of land ownership, not just in urban Gambia but rural Gambia, for example, you talk about economic viability of women. These are all areas of interest that the UMC has, and it's very important that we look into it. For example, even these CAFOs and even these Tekla CAFOs, how do we formalize them and make them sort of a credit union base? For example, and another one that we were even discussing, I think I spoke about it on Peter, is how do we also empower TVET? Granted, this government has done a lot when it comes to empowering TVET under Prof Gomez, but we also want to see it is not just about teaching them skills, but it's about how do you also empower them to make sure that the skills they've learned are also useful to society. For example, during our survey and during the meetings that we've had, a young person in Birikama told me that they had a classroom of 70 people in at the GTTI. Only two of them are employed. The rest are all sitting at home. We want to see how do we provide seed money or grants for these young people with skills to work on creating their own employment and even employing more people. And globally also, how do we compete? For example, today you talk about China, you talk about China's economy. The reason China is competing, even though China continues to call it itself a developing country, is because they produce. Our Dalasi is not competing. Our Dalasi is dwindling by the day because we are not competing economically. So these are all issues that we also want to look at. The also the issues of social services. For example, the healthcare system, the education, food security, sovereign security. These are also areas that we also want to look at, for example, and see how best do we also support Gambians in this area. Then you talk about accountability and and transparency. Good governance has to be anchored on this basis. These are policies that generally that we believe we can work on, and hopefully that the Gambian people, once our project is ready, once we sell it to them, they will be able to buy it. But offhead, these are things that I know that these are our focus areas, and hopefully we also hope Dr. Sonja will come on board and support, especially when it comes to issues of policy. And I just want to make a general call. If anybody feels that they are experts in any area, or they can help or support in any papers or policy documents, we are open and we are willing to accept these recommendations and see how best do we include them in our manifesto. It's a general call. Like I said, this is a movement for the Gambian people. You don't have to be partisan to become part of the movement. The movement is for everyone, and your concerns and your recommendations are important to us.
Is there an incoming national rally for UMC?
Yes, we are working on a few, but we want to change the way politics works in the Gambia. For the longest of times, we have invested our money, when it comes to rallies. We want to see how do we create an interface between the public and us. And it's about reaching the people at the grassroots level. It's about house-to-house campaigns and seeing how best do we, encounter. Because we learned a lot during the last mayoral election. If you notice, we held only three rallies, one in Bundung, one in I believe Bakau, which was I think it was just two rallies, one in Bakau and one in Bundung. So we focus more on house-to-house campaigns, meeting people directly, listening to them, working on solutions, rather than because when you hold a rally, it's the same people coming to your rally over and over again. But a majority of Gambians do not attend rallies. Maximum you can have at a rally is probably 15,000 to 20,000 people. But you're talking about a country of 3 million people. So that is less than 1% of the population. So 99% of the population are in their houses. Meet them in their houses. Have teams that will go to them, listen to what they have to say, and see how best do you solve their issues. So indeed, we are going to have our initial rally, and we will have rallies. But we want to change the space in which we communicate with people. This is why we even have lines that are gonna come up and running in the next few weeks, where people can call in, give concerns and give their opinions, and we'll see how do we tabulate all of these things, and come up with policies. I'm just worried that I'm saying a lot of our projects and plans that we have, and people will jump on them. But yeah, this is it.
I appreciate it, Kemo. Thank you so very much once again for your time and for agreeing to do this with me. Because like I always say, I'm nobody. You basically agreed to on a very short notice and be like, "Yo, yeah, let's do it. Let's have a conversation." And you said you're right. It's been a long time coming, so I really appreciate it. I honestly, really, and sincerely appreciate your time that you take to talk to me today.
It's a pleasure, Ibrahim. Baraka Bahi, man.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Thank you all to our guests or to our followers everywhere that you're following us from, and also like on Facebook, those that are on YouTube as well. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's the only way you can support what I'm doing. Like don't just be my friend on Facebook or watch me on Facebook. Go to YouTube, subscribe, and also have that notification bell on, such that whenever I come live, you would know that I'm about to have a conversation with somebody. But until then, you all have a wonderful rest of your Sunday evening, and wish you all a very wonderful week ahead. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.